celebration.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Mr
Speaker, this week it is all unravelled for the government. This week we have seen that all of the eggs that the government had in terms of an unemployment plan were not only few, but indeed they were broken. Mr Speaker, in the face of unemployment sitting at 6.8%, that's 158,000 people, the Labour Party, the opposition, demanded from the government a plan. Indeed, the 158,000 people in the dole queue demanded a plan. The 52,000 people who have joined that queue since that government came into office demanded a plan. The 1 in 4 young people, school leavers, who haven't even had a chance to enter the workforce but are left on the scrap heap because there are no jobs for them, they demanded a plan. And Mr Speaker, we can't forget as well the 12% of 20 to 24-year-olds, and that represents within that number a good chunk of young graduates who have left university with skills that they are willing and wanting to use, demanded a plan because they too are waiting for work. But, Mr Speaker, what did we get in the face of those demands? Well, first came the excuses. The government claimed every time the unemployment figures came out and shocked them just a little bit by increasing, that figures tend to be volatile and move around a bit. Second, the Minister of Social Development and Employment, Paula Bennett, who's AWOL currently, claimed that the unemployed just needed to take a positive attitude if they were to find work. Today, we heard the Prime Minister claim that, in fact, some people on the benefit are making a lifestyle choice in the way that they choose to exist. And finally, at some point in the debate, we had the Minister actually acknowledge the real issue at play. Kiwis want work, but there are no jobs. There are no jobs. That is the real reason that we have 158,000 Kiwis currently seeking work. But it's time that instead of making excuses, the government starts doing something about it. And after 2 years, our expectation would have been that there would be a plan. But what have we seen instead? Well, Mr Speaker, we've seen a series of gimmicks. I don't use that turn of phrase lightly. At first, perhaps there may have been some hope for something like the Job Summit, that something concrete may have come out of it. And we saw the cycleway. Now, I'm first to acknowledge that I don't have a problem with the concept of a cycleway. In and of itself, I think it's a positive thing. But it would never have been the answer, and has proven not to be the answer, to a growing unemployment issue in New Zealand. In fact, we have seen a grand total of 214 jobs created out of the cycleway. It's just not good enough. And so what was the other option that the government gave to us? Well, a youth unemployment package, Job Ops and Community Max. Well, the New Zealand Institute of Economic Research told us that they deserved a C on that package. And why? Because at best it would assist 8% of young unemployed people. 8%. And what have we seen for that 8% of young unemployed people who have had some contact with these schemes? Well, let's look at Community Max. Work and Income claimed that this would be a chance to upskill and move young people into jobs. And at $100 million in total for Job Ops and Community Max, we could expect that at the very least, I would have thought. But when you scratch under the surface, what have we seen? Well, some projects have delivered what they said they'd delivered. Others have proven to be a dismal failure. If this was indeed a chance to upskill our young people, why then was Work and Income not looking at the way the subsidy they were giving to providers to train people was being appropriately used? The general public would expect, Mr Speaker, that if we're spending $18,000 to put less than 6 people into a job where text messages are being sent, that we would see some outcome from that. What skills is a young person getting for a future career by sending text messages all day to defendants reminding them of court appearances? Absolutely none. And if you're going to spend over $300,000 on a gardening project, at least upskill the young people who are in that project. Instead, what have we seen? Half of them without jobs at the end of it. The government has claimed that 70% of people on Community Max haven't presented and gone on to main benefits again. That is an absolute distortion of the truth. 70% of people haven't walked through the WINS door again. That does not mean that they are employed. In fact, when we know that 40,000 young people in New Zealand are not in employment, education or training, Community Max participants have joined that dismal number. Where is the plan?
Mr. Speaker.